Sonja Kohn, thank you very much for coming on our podcast. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Old lady loves innovation and has been successful in implementing it with what I call some white elephants, large financial institutions who need people like us to lead them into the next century of technology.
Thank you. And you do have an impressive background in finance. You've been an advisor to the Gibraltar government, the Minister of Economic Affairs in Austria, as well as the Vienna Stock Exchange. Could you talk about how you started and what was one thing that you learned in that time?
Well, I started in Vienna, where I was born, and I like everything. It starts with hard work and knowing the topic and making sure that one is happy to share this topic. And if one is sharing experience, people say, "This is great, can you do it for me?" And this is really how business relationships or advisory relationships starts. So there was a feeling that I can add value. And I was asked to deliver this added value. And it was fun, it was rewarding, and it was satisfying for both of the parties.
That's great. So you connected on the human level to the world of finance, because I think for people on the outside, like myself, I think of finance in terms of numbers, ones and zeros. But from what I hear from you, it's very human first approach. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. And at the end, it's people who use finance. And it's not machines who are using the benefits of finance. Finance are the blood vessels of the economy. And the economy is here for people to use it. And I do feel that very often innovation makes bridges and international bridges. So one of the things I did for the Austrian Stock Exchange was a joint venture with the Beijing Stock Exchange and a joint venture with the Dubai Stock Exchange. And this leads to business development, it leads to friendship, it leads to understanding. And again, innovation has actually always been, I think, what interested people in cooperation with me. So we did for the Austrian government, and that was during the time I was an advisor to the Minister of Economic Affairs, we created an Austrian government guaranteed fund in the United Arab Emirates, which would be a standby guarantee for companies between the two countries doing business together. And for that, I actually got the Great Medal of Honor from the government of Austria. So it was the idea to say, if you want something in the commercial world to work, if a government guarantees it, it speeds it up, it makes it bigger, and all of a sudden, one can do things one couldn't do before.
That's impressive. Congratulations. It seems like you're connecting cross-culturally through the language or culture of finance. Is there anything that stood out to you as a different approach to that cooperation between the Beijing Stock Exchange and the Dubai Stock Exchange?
Sure, absolutely. I do think that the Chinese people are much farther away from our culture. Everything they do is much more controlled. At the end, like we have seen in Hong Kong, it's a government who pulls the strings. And I was the one who very early on actually said that Hong Kong is a city in China and everything else is naive. That's basically what I have learned. In Dubai, you have a completely, United Arab Emirates, completely different background. You have wealth and you have a deep desire to embrace innovation and become part of the international business world. So two completely different, both combined with a common denominator, I would say, to make their economies grow.
Interesting. Yeah, they both have a reputation for fast development, wealth, and innovation. So that's interesting that you were spearheading projects with both of them. How far apart were those projects? Were they more or less concurrent, or were they a few years apart?
No, it was like a year apart.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty soon after. Which one was first, Beijing or Dubai?
Dubai.
Okay. And did that help you at all, or going into the?
Sure, absolutely. When you do one, then all of a sudden you have the credibility to do the second. So success opens a lot of doors.
Yeah, well said. So, what led to your transition from this accomplishment in financial advisory to leading an innovative AI company, which you're doing now?
I don't think was a tradition. For me, it's exactly the same. So when we are speaking not on governments, one of the very first things I did is I had a company with Bank Austria, Austria's largest bank, and in a time where there was still the Austrian shilling and American financial institutions were the only one coming into Europe offering different currency investments, I came up with the idea to make a guaranteed zero coupon bond. And all of a sudden, Bank Austria leveraged its rating, which was then AAA, to offer a US dollar denominated investment. So it was always innovation. The next, one of the other things I did, I created for Intesa San Paolo, which is Italy's largest bank, the first platform in Europe for the distribution of mutual funds. So I've always tried to use the available means, if it's a guarantee of a government or a technology, to use it to create something which is useful and actually always conservative for the investors. And that's what I do today. So one of our clients is UBS, the Swiss bank, Banca Investis in Italy. So just what we do now is useful not only for the financial industry, but for many others. But I just stayed in innovation.
Yeah, it certainly seems to have that thread, innovation and the human connection, it would seem, because you mentioned your approach to finance early on and how you put humans first. And with your current role at BestFit, it seems you're approaching with a behavioral science foundation. Could you talk at all about the inspiration behind BestFit and that approach?
Sure. Basically, when we were looking at the first robo-advisors in 2015, BlackRock bought Future Advisors for 150 million. And that's actually when I started to focus on AI and IT in combination. When I'm looking at an industry, I ask my team to take a white page, look at the different players, put in one column, this is interesting what they do. In the second column, why do they do that? And the third column is mine. Why the hell is no one doing that? And so that's how I identify market niches. And the market niche was robo-advisors took the interaction to the investor from offline online. They took the investment process from offline online, but all of a sudden, the understanding, the meetings, looking at people's faces, seeing if they move their leg, if they are nervous or showing nervosity. So a lot of the knowledge a good salesman, a good private banker has when he is meeting with a person wasn't there anymore. And I felt that to make the investments, to make the relationship between the financial institution and the investors work, we have to fill this gap. And here, behavioral science could be implemented, and we did that with a team of neuroscientists based on Richard Thaler, who was People Are Predictively Irrational, based on Professor Zaltman. 95% of all decisions are made in the unconscious brain, based on Kahneman. So we took together all this understanding that emotions are extremely important for decision making, and created out of that basically a platform which, with fun indirect questions, is able to understand how people make decisions based on facts or based on emotions. Should one send them a term sheet, a competitor analysis, or a testimonial of a happy client? What is their real risk, resistance, risk tolerance? So basically we were trying, and thanks God successfully, to build a platform where we can give to the financial institution this missing human factors, which make it possible to be a good advisor and do a good job for the investor.
That's really interesting. I recently took a class at Yale on the behavioral science of management, which built upon Daniel Kahneman's work as well. And that came as a surprise to me, what you just said, as far as the emotional component of decision-making being significantly more important than the rational. We like to think of ourselves as neutral observers, rational observers, but like you say, predictably irrational, and understanding the reasons for that and maybe how to connect on that level, perhaps first and foremost. So it's interesting to see your approach there. I'd like to talk about something you said regarding that third column that's for you to discern why no one else is doing this innovative this startup idea. Someone I spoke with recently was talking about startups, and he's a consultant in the startup world. And he said, never assume you're the first one to have a great idea. Ask yourself why Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or any CEO at a large company isn't pursuing this idea. Assume they've seen it and they've rejected it, and find out what those reasons are. What are your thoughts on that? And could you talk at all about how you approach that third column?
Sure. I don't think what we are is a successful assembly, synergy of many independent pieces. So we haven't invented the science. We are building on existing science of Nobel Prize winners. I do have the opportunity to know two Nobel Prize winners personally. One is Vernon Smith. He got the Nobel Prize with Daniel Kahneman, and actually his wife is using our platform in her newsletter business.
Nice.
And Professor Aumann, he got the Nobel Prize for gaming theory, which is how people make decisions. So I'm fortunate enough to have very smart people to bounce off. So the science is there. Technology is there. UX, UI is there. BuzzFeed, for example, has created questionnaires which are incredibly fun. I think what we have been able to do is create a complete product out of that. And I'm desperate for people, for a competition, because competition will increase the market share. If you're looking at business like an apple pie, when I started out 3 years ago and you were speaking to a marketing person about behavioral science, what are you talking about? And now Harari and other people have made it, it has become something people talk about. And when something new starts, they are always first movers. And again, if you ask me, people like Palantir could very well do what we are doing, but they have another business. So I'm not saying none of the pieces which are the composites of what we do are unique. But putting it skillfully together I think for the moment, that's what we have been able to do. And again, I welcome every competitor because it will increase the market share, it will increase awareness, and hopefully then we can be quicker or cheaper or better. So I don't expect to stay the only one, and I'm not the only one in each of the components.
But currently you have the most delicious apple pie, is what I'm understanding.
Well, I'm happy, but as I mentioned to you, we are looking for strategic partners, and I think what we have is powerful. It works. We have clients like IBM, like the Zurich Insurance Group, but we definitely need help to scale, and I'm welcoming everyone who can help us do that.
Okay. One thing in the intro video on your product's website, BestFit's website, you mentioned visualizing people's thoughts. Could you talk about what you mean by that?
Sure. I mean, basically, when we ask a question, right, we will give options for the answers. Each of these options has an algorithmic value attached to it. At the end of the questionnaire, we show the people a profile, which means super smart, and we give the people, our customers, which are the corporations, we give them a sheet printed which says this person is sophistication from 0 to 108. So we really reveal with AI and generative AI the personality characteristics. We calculate them and we give the people on paper or naturally with a data download file this information. So we make it visible, and the next text will say, we make thoughts visible, we transform information into insights, and we allow people to use these insights, communicating to the people brain in the way which the brain of the customer or patient will understand best.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm curious, have you noticed a difference in the way that the client or the test subject answers the questions once they've been profiled? So for example, when you give them the results of the test the first time, does it change upon subsequent testing, or is it fairly consistent?
Look, personality characteristics don't change. So if someone is an optimist, he's an optimist. If someone is sophisticated, he's sophisticated. If someone is risk adverse, he's risk adverse. It does change with tragedies. So if, God forbid, the person becomes cancer, or there's a street accident, or there's a tsunami. But this is statistically irrelevant because the percentage of people having this incredible event, which really changed their personality characteristics, is, as I mentioned, so rare, thanks God, that it's statistically irrelevant. And we are looking, I mean, we are commercially active. So all research shows that personality characteristics don't change in the next few years.
That's interesting. Have you ever taken the Myers-Briggs test by any chance? Are you familiar with it?
Yes, I'm familiar with it. The Myers-Briggs test, first of all, is a fixed test, which for every company, they can use it or they cannot use it. Our tests are custom tailored to each company for their commercial goal. So a test for an HR company will be completely different. The Myers-Briggs test is longer. Our tests take like 2.5, 3 minutes. And Myers-Briggs basically afterwards has you have as well the 16 personality tests.
Right.
So you have predefined boxes, and the tests put the people in these boxes. We create clusters based on the answers of the people. So Myers-Briggs is great. There are many other great tests, but first of all, most of these tests are for human resources. So you don't have these tests to increase NPS as a sample or things like that. So they are not for commercials and they are not personalized. They are longer and many of them have relatively direct questions. And if you ask a direct question, let's say HR person, the first thing the person who is answers will think about it, what do they want to hear? What will make me look good? So all of that we address.
Good point. And connecting to your earlier point about personality not changing, that's something I personally experienced with the Myers-Briggs test. I'd taken it about 10 years apart, and I thought surely with different experience and I thought different perspectives, I'd wind up with a different personality type. But it was almost exact because it gives you the confidence level, and it was almost exactly the same confidence level of that original personality type. So I thought that was really interesting. So talking about BestFit, could you talk at all, you mentioned HR, but could you talk about perhaps its impact or potential impact on other industries?
Sure. I'll give you a few samples, which I think is most important. One of them is Inter, the football club. The Inter Football Club, he wanted to use our questionnaire to increase online sales. So what they did is they made a campaign with email where they basically sent out an email with saying, quel tifoso sei, so which sports fan are you? And we gave them we created 4 clusters and we made them 4 texts to send out to invite to buy on the online shop. So they have naturally a benchmark because they have done campaigns like that before. In the campaign which they sent out by email, we outperformed their benchmark 7 times. And in the campaign they did with SMS 8 times. If you're looking at the Zurich Insurance Group, I'm sure that you and many of the listeners are familiar with NPS. How do you measure client satisfaction? Zurich Insurance credits us with an increase of NPS from 56 to 72. So they basically measured client satisfaction before they started to work with us. Then communication changed based on our input, and the results were just as much as, for instance, Wüstenrot, that's an Austrian-German financial services company. They used us for increasing their client. So they used us on Facebook. And here we leveraged and we said, to see your profile, put your email in and the permission to use your email commercially. So basically, we started out, discover the genius in yourself, 10 questions. To see your profile, you have to put in your email address. 58% of the people who started the first question coming from Facebook left their email address, permission to contact them commercially, and we could contact them already understanding their decision drivers. So I think these are 3 very simple examples from different industries.
Thank you. That's interesting. And it makes me wonder, to your earlier question, why isn't anyone else doing this? It seems almost obvious, so many people have missed it, the behavioral science approach to this cross-industry competition. It looks like the proof is in your results there, being significantly higher than any of the other competitions so far. Do you have any ideas as far as why you're alone in this at this moment?
Again, if you put in behavioral science marketing into Google, you'll get a huge amount of answers. A lot of people, a lot of companies like Qualtrics, for instance, do try to extract behavioral characteristic from past transactions. They will look at past transactions. They will look at navigation. They will look at data the company has, analyze it, and try to, from that, take out and see if a person bought this kind of stock then. So our approach is different. We are using questions and not past data analytics. This is one. Second of all, I'm sure competitors doing exactly the same will come, but the industry is moving so fast. So a quite good alternative to what we were doing were cookies. Cookies have become illegal now. Another very good alternative was tracking. Now, Apple now disallows tracking if you don't opt in, and not so many people opt in. So it's a combination of new technologies, changes in the industry, and it will come. And again, lots of people are doing certain things. They may use the other data, past data instead of questions. Do I have a good answer? No, but I don't feel that we are unique. I feel we are very hardworking. I feel we were very lucky with the team we could put together. And we are lucky that so big companies with brands like Zurich Insurance Group are giving us the confidence to work with us.
Indeed. I think that was a good answer. You certainly have an impressive team and some impressive clients so far. And they say necessity is the mother of all invention. And it seems that the outlawing or stopping the practice of using cookies perhaps led to you looking for a new way. Did that connect at all to you starting BestFit, or was that independent?
No, that was later.
Okay.
I started BestFit before. We just got, I think, we got support from the developments, which are increase of privacy regulations and elimination of cookies and other things. But here we were just lucky.
Okay. Well, sometimes you make your own luck. So good job there. Could you talk at all about the role of BestFit in healthcare sectors?
Sure. Again, best is a sample. When we had COVID, COVID is fortunately not so many people got infected body-wise. They got COVID. Everyone was affected emotionally, from the cleaning lady to the billionaire. Mm-hmm. One had to change one's life, day-to-day life. And that created emotional stress with many people. We had an increase of depressions. So basically what we did, we created a questionnaire to measure the emotional state of people. We did that in Australia, we did it in New York, in the United States. And at the time we could see that 17% in America, 19% in Australia, where really would have needed support, someone to talk to them and outreach, to not fall into really a black hole. So that's one of the things we did. We are as well quite important for telemedicine. Telemedicine works with body data. So a doctor at the other end of the world will have an MRI, blood tests, all of that are good enough to make a diagnosis. It's not good enough to create a treatment plan people will comply with. Because, for instance, one of the things we can measure and we do is, are people organized or not? So a lot of medicines are best taken in small doses. Given a person who is not organized, to take drops 5 times a day is a disaster. So to create a treatment, long-term treatment program with good compliance by the people, you need to understand the person. And for a rational person, you use statistics. 85% of the people who comply will get healthy again. And for someone who is emotional, you may use it as someone who was ill saying, since I've taken the medicine, I'm much better. So that's another sample in the area of medicine.
I'd also like to give you an opportunity to tell us about Nunchi. What is Nunchi?
Okay, Nunchi is a Korean verb. It means actually eye contact. It's a core of the Korean life philosophy, and the New York Times actually wrote an article in saying the key to happiness, the Korean key to happiness. And it means you walk into a room, you observe people, you listen to people, and you act accordingly. And that's how kids are educated, that's how employees are being trained. And BestFit is a digital Nunchi. We observe, we listen, and we try to help companies to act accordingly.
What is your vision for the future of AI in business? And could you talk at all about BestFit's upcoming initiatives?
Sure. So one of it is ChatGPT. I think we have seen with what's going on over the weekend, Sam Altman. This is a firework with continuously new developments, continuously new things. What ChatGPT allows is the instant transformation of our algorithms as BestFit into hyper-personalized messages. So what we can do today is at the end of 2.5 minutes, we can give a hyper-personalized call to action on the platform. This is something which has been done before by hand and after a month. So we have a huge increase of speed. We have completely new opportunities. We will be able, instead of asking questions, create a game where, based on the choices a player is making, we can measure his personality characteristics. I think it's enormously exciting what is going on. I do think, and we actually, one of the awards we got was from the Hebrew University, which was the alma mater of Einstein, for the human factor in digital. I do think that all of this AI and generative AI will be a success if people will like what they see, like what they will be offered, and buy into it. Which they actually didn't into the metaverse. So if you're looking back just to November a year ago, there were billions put into the metaverse, and it really didn't go anywhere. Why? Because somehow the population didn't buy into it. So I think that I love generative AI, I love AI, I love innovation. But my mission and my job as BestFit is to make sure that we put the human individual in the middle, understand what he likes, understand that the same thing one person may love and one person may hate, and customize communication and offers to each person.
Yeah, that's really interesting what you brought up about the metaverse. That is a bit of a mystery, it would seem, with all the people behind it and its promise. And perhaps it will find that alignment later. But certainly at the outset, it seemed like ChatGPT had a much lower barrier to entry as far as unearthing its potential. People could easily participate. You didn't need any sort of special equipment or understanding, basically just like typing an email, and you're getting a response back that's teaching you whatever you might want to know. So yeah, that is interesting. People need to desire it first in order to invest themselves. And so I could see if it's just a 2-minute or 3-minute fun gamified questionnaire that you have with BestFit, that's a much easier pill to swallow, and then to see the results of that. Are you looking at shortening that time even further, or have you found that 2 to 3 minutes is the ideal duration to extract the information that you need for BestFit?
We can go 30 seconds less or something. I mean, the more data you have, the better the output is. And we feel very comfortable with these 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
If we want to reduce, so with 2-3 minutes, we analyze 4 personality characteristics, which could be sophistication, decision style, rational, emotional, price sensitivity, and let's say risk. If we want to measure just one characteristics, like only price sensitivity, we can go much shorter. Because we are using 3 questions for each of the personality characteristics. So can we go shorter? Yes, but we will answer less. We will give less information to the company. So it's always an equilibrium. For human resources, we usually are around 4 minutes, but then we give 6 information categories. So it depends what our clients want.
I see. That's still really fast considering the amount of detail that you're able to extract. Is there anything that we didn't get to touch on that you'd like to highlight?
Well, I would like to highlight just that every of these tools need professionals to extract value. We have done a huge amount of work with ChatGPT. And as a woman and mother and grandmother and great-great-mother, allow me to say, ChatGPT is a little bit like a kid. You have to learn how to prompt it. Prompt is a professional expression of sending it information to get a good output. You have to learn how to instruct it. You have to learn which instruction it understands or doesn't understand. So I do believe, and this is a big concern, I think, of everyone, I'm concerned that this highly complex AI and generative AI will create a wealth divide and will be a tool which will make smart people and smart big companies even better. And it will be just hard in the middle. So I think the quality of what generative AI can do for us depends on the quality of the people who work with it.
Well said. Well, Sonja Kohn, thank you so much for talking with us today. It was a real privilege to learn from you. Really exciting to see what you're doing with BestFit. And I look forward to tracking its progress in the future.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to share.